Hello, good people. Ayana Angel back with another episode for the Switch Pivot or Quit podcast. This is the podcast where we discuss career choices through a personal and a professional lens. And as most of you know, I've made my own Switch Pivot or Quit transitions, and I love mixing things up. And so I love speaking to people who have done a little bit of the same, hearing their journeys and their stories. And today we're going to be speaking to Paige Moriah. And it's funny because some of you may be familiar with Paige because she had a viral weight loss video.
Oh my
And I
gosh.
think that's how, I know, right? And I think that's how so many people came across your journey and your story, but what became more interesting to me was this transition that you made from this life that you had in Chicago to going to grad school in London, and of all places, right? A lot of people do grad school, but like not in another country, and completely flipping your life, taking yourself outside of your comfort zone. And so today I want all of you to hear from Paige, not just her journey of transitioning to another country, but also now transitioning back to the States and also transitioning careers in a way, like, going from a full-time content creator to back in corporate America now. So welcome, Paige, and we're going to get into all of that.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Yay! Okay. So I think one of the first questions that I would love to know about you at this point in your journey is, what do you know to be true about yourself?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. Something that I know to be true about myself. I think as much as I like to proclaim that I hate change, I think I do really well with it. And every time that I've allowed myself to embrace change, like it's just elevated my life in so many ways. So, yeah, like as much as I try to say, oh, change is scary, change is overwhelming, like I think I thrive with change.
Mm. Talk to us a little bit more about pushing yourself into leaning into change, because it's a fearful space to be in for a lot of people, and it stops a lot of us from going after the things that we think we actually want.
Oh my goodness. For some reason, I think I've always been the type of person that likes to, I guess, protect myself by remaining comfortable or in one place. I've done it several times in my life where I'm like, this is nice. I know what is expected of me here. This feels okay. Like I'll just stay here for a while. But then I start to realize like I'm starting to feel a bit stagnant or I'm not growing, in the way that I would want to. And it's like, okay, it's time to change. It's time to pivot. It's time to do something different. And that moment, I'm always so afraid, but I've seen time and time again that it's been beneficial for me to allow that to happen, to embrace the change. So I think it might just be one of those cycles that I go through forever, and hopefully it gets easier, each time, because I know there will be even more changes that arise in my life, in the future. But it's just something I think that I'm working on being better at.
What you're saying makes me feel like, for a lot of us, that evolution and change and accepting it and embracing it, it's going to be a constant
A
journey.
constant for
You
sure.
know, there's some people and some personalities where they run to it, they welcome it. And then I think there's those of us who are like, on the outside, it seems like we run to it and welcome it,
For
but
sure.
really, we run into fear.
We're kicking and screaming the entire time.
Exactly.
But on Instagram,
Exactly.
it's a new announcement about, something different.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Speaking of, I guess, the social perception, how has that been showing up in your world lately as you've gone through a lot of these changes? What has that been like? And if you want to just share a little bit about what the most recent change has been from your perspective in your eyes, and then tell us what that social, I guess, piece of it has been like, that'd be great.
Yes, I would love to. So I recently returned back to the United States. I guess it's been 7 months or, so now. After living abroad in London for 4.5 years. While I was there, I was a full-time digital content creator, basically vlogging about my life abroad on YouTube. It was the best experience of my life, but it got to the point where I knew that I was ready for a change, and ready to do something different, which was scary. Being a full-time content creator was my dream for a while, and I had that and I experienced that. But then something in me was saying it's time to do something different. And I would say maybe it was like after I turned 30, I was starting to crave more stability and just a lot of different, factors played into it. But I decided that I was ready to return back to the States and be closer to family and start a more stable career path, honestly. So I returned back, didn't know how it was going to go. I just moved back into my parents' house and I was like, I'm going to just apply and hope for the best. At least I know I have somewhere to lay my head. They're not going to, just leave me out to dry. So, I started applying for jobs, and honestly, after hearing so much from the outside, like, oh, it's a terrible job market right now. I don't know why you would want to go back, into corporate. I just blocked out the noise and I knew I had to focus on the goal, and I started applying and received a job offer within like 1 month of me starting to apply. So it happened very
Wow.
fast. I still don't feel like I've fully like processed all of the changes that have happened so quickly because I returned home, started applying, started a job, and like, yeah, here we are. Here we are. It's
Mhm.
been a whirlwind for sure.
Mhm. Did you have any trepidation about sharing the
Mm,
change part of your journey
yeah,
online and the judgment? Like you said, you are already having to deal with the judgment of people, I'm sure, closer in your family knowing what's happening with you or your circle and saying, "Oh, it's not a good job market." So you had to block that out. How did you approach what you were going to face with public perception of
publicly.
your
Yes,
choices?
that's a great question. So I was very transparent, or as transparent as I wanted to be online about, me moving back home. And I, received opinions right then and there, like, why would you want to go back to the United States? Like just, even things like that right off the bat. Um, and then, when I returned back, I started uploading a little bit less because I kind of was even second guessing myself. I'm like, are people still interested in my life here? Me transitioning into corporate, I'm like, is that content that people would want to see from me? It was definitely a lot of second guessing. And then I did receive some, feedback online from people. Someone left a comment on my video saying, Paige, I really was just here for your life abroad and I'm not really interested anymore. So I'm going to unsubscribe now. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if that was a necessary comment, but like I will receive some things like that here and there with people just saying like it's not the same, they just aren't really interested, and that's fine. I mean, I definitely understand that because I think, you know, not everybody's niche or content is for everyone. You know what I mean? And my content has evolved. Like you said at the beginning, I was doing weight loss and fitness content, and then it evolved into life abroad. So I didn't take everybody with me who was there when I first started my channel to the next phase, and I won't be able to take everyone to the next. But hopefully I'll bring in new, people who will be really engaged and excited about my content. So yeah, I try to kind of block out the noise as much as I can because I know online you can't please everyone and your content won't be for everyone always. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
gonna continue to
Mhm.
evolve. I can't stop or be stagnant just to keep, you know, that audience. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't please everyone, and like you
Can't.
said, sometimes it's just like real relationships in real life, right? Some people are in your life for a season, and some people got
100%.
what they needed from your weight loss content. Some people got what they needed from your living abroad content. And then there's going to be a new crop of people who will get what they need from this next season of your life. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's all I can
Yeah.
hope for.
Mhm.
Whoever is supposed to receive my content at that time, whoever needs my content at that time will find it.
Absolutely. And you just keep staying true to yourself.
Yes.
So you mentioned that patience is a crucial thing in the midst of all these transitions that you've been making. I watched you talk about that on TikTok. Can
Yeah.
you talk to us a little bit more about what you've learned about being patient in the midst of all this transition?
It's really difficult to be patient. That's what I've learned for sure. It's difficult.
Headline.
Yes. I know that I'm on the path to like having the things that I desire, but I am having to be patient in this time because, I'm kind of starting from scratch and I have to show myself grace. So like I said, I returned home, I moved into my childhood bedroom and I'm kind of just like, okay, what am I doing? I received, a really great job offer, which is allowing me to save up money. So right now, my patience is coming from like, okay, you can't just move out right away. We need to build the savings because living in London was expensive. Being a full-time content creator had its ups and downs. So I think right
Mm.
now, current page, like present page, needs to focus on saving and building a foundation so that I never have to return back home to my parents' house if I don't, I want to make sure that I am always just, in a good place. And that's just what I have to focus on right now. And of course, from
Yeah.
the outside, it's like I have friends buying homes, friends who are, doing different things. I'm just like, I just want to decorate my own place too. But I'm just looking at inspiration on TikTok and trying to stay motivated because I know that this is going to pay off in the long run, having patience.
Yeah, yeah. Feels like there's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and then we feel the need to like live up to the smoke and mirrors that we see from other people, but we don't know what's real and what's not real these
We
days.
don't know what people's situations are. We don't know how they were able to pull things off or how many sleepless nights they had to like make things happen for themselves. So I think, yeah, that's definitely something that people should definitely keep in mind because I know when I first moved abroad, people would message me and they're just like, "Oh, I wish my life was like yours. I wish I was as happy as you." And like my first year in London was super challenging. Like people had no
Mm,
idea because I was vlogging every week like, "Hey guys, like I'm having so much fun." And I was really having a hard time. So it's like it's a highlight reel. What we show you online,
yeah.
even I was authentic as possible, but it's like I am obviously going to show the best parts of my life. So comparing yourself to others, you don't know what it looks like when the camera's off or, behind the Instagram photos.
Mhm. What was like the hardest thing I guess you were dealing with in your first year in London?
Hmm. I think the most important thing I learned during my first year was that wherever you go, your problems are going to go with you. And wherever you go, you're going to bring you with you. And I think I kind of had this perception because before I left Chicago, I was really unhappy with my job. The place that I was working, I was making the same exact salary all 4 years. I worked at a non for profit. And I
Mm,
felt like I wasn't progressing. I was living at home at the time as well. And I was just like, I don't know where I go from here. I feel stuck. I feel complacent. So I think I thought by taking the leap and moving abroad and doing something really drastic with my life, it was just gonna be like this 180. And now I'm just like so, on the moon. And I was the first few months I was there, the honeymoon phase. And I
right.
quickly, got back to reality and I'm like, okay, actually, I might be here because I need to work on some things within myself, you know what I mean? And start to figure out how I can find happiness wherever I am. Yeah, that was definitely the biggest thing. And I did so much self-work while I was there because living alone, I mean living abroad and alone is actually very isolating at times. And I spent a lot of time alone and I had nothing else to do but to kind of like work on myself. So
Mhm.
yes, that was what the first year was dedicated to.
Mhm. What
Self-work.
does self-work look like for you? So many people talk about it and we watch shows and different things and we can see and identify in other people like, "Ooh, you got some work to do," or
Oh my
you need to
gosh.
do your self-work, right? And all of that, right? But like what does it look like for you? Because I think it's easy to put a blanket comment on it,
Yes.
but more of us may need to be inspired by other people learning sort of like, what does that self-work look like for you?
There's a few things that I do, but I think the first and most important thing is to just really allow yourself to sit in it. I think I would try to like run away from my problems, like I said, moving abroad or always going out and being with friends and all of those things are nice, but like I really needed to sit with myself because I learned like why would anyone else enjoy being around you if you don't even like, being with yourself? You know what I mean? Like if you
Mm,
can't spend time with yourself, why would anybody else want to be there? So I had to really figure that out. And I did a lot of just, oh my goodness, I listened to self help videos on YouTube, podcast episodes. Oh my gosh, I actually wanted to say to you before I decided to move abroad, I listened to some of your podcast episodes. I did,
what?
I did.
That's
Um,
wild. I love
no,
it.
I know. I was so excited that we connected because I actually was just trying to figure out what I should do next. And I ended up deciding to move to London. But I think this is obviously like a phase or a situation people will run into multiple times should they switch with, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
multiple times in your career throughout your life, like that question will arise, like, what do I do next? So yeah, listening to
Yeah.
podcasts, therapy is amazing. I recently just started with a new therapist 2 weeks ago. I just think it's so beneficial to be able to I don't know, just talk to a non-biased party, or, somebody who's
Absolutely.
just there to listen. And yeah, there's so many different things. Journaling as well has been great for me. And I love
Mm-hmm.
looking back and seeing like how far I've come, or how a situation that I was really worried about turned out all right. I was
Mm-hmm.
definitely
Mm-hmm.
journaling when I was trying to decide if I should leave London, if that was the right thing to do. I was, very much second guessing myself. And now I'm here and I'm like, look how far you've come. Like it worked out. So yeah, those are a few things I would suggest.
Absolutely. It always works out. And that sounds so cliche and that's easy to say. It always works out. But the reality is that life moves forward. And
Yes.
so there's always going to be some kind of conclusion or next step to
Hmm.
it, whether you like it or not. That's subjective,
Exactly.
But it always works out in the way that most of us are so blessed.
Hmm.
We don't find ourselves in these dire, desperate situations, fortunately. And
Yes.
so, relative to so many other things that are happening in our world and so many other things that could be happening, that's why I say it always works out,
It always works
just
out.
the way it should.
And something I like to always remind myself is that humans were made to adapt. Like it's how
Mhm.
evolution works, all of those things. It's like we were made to be able to, accept changes. And if something isn't working anymore, we're able to change and pivot and find a new solution, for survival. So we do that,
Yes.
in other aspects of our lives as well. Like if something isn't working anymore, you very much can do something different,
Mhm. I love that you pointed out that we adapt no matter what. We
Hmm.
take what we're given. Sometimes it takes us a minute to digest it
Yes.
and to wrap our minds around it. And sometimes we fight, whatever is being given to
Yeah.
us, but we adapt
We
because
adapt.
most of the times we have no choice, right?
Exactly. Exactly, and the time's gonna pass anyway, So you
Yep.
could do it, you could accept the change and accept the pivot with open arms, or you could fight it along the way. It's your decision,
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
and I've
Yeah.
definitely tried to work on that myself, because transitioning into corporate also hasn't been super easy for me, especially, coming from being a full-time digital content creator, making my own schedule, deciding what my own day looks like, to more of my life now revolving around my job, having less free time as well. So I think that's something that I'm still, adapting to, and it will
Yeah.
take time, but I know I'll get there. And another
Mhm.
6 months from now, I'll feel even more, comfortable and adjusted. So I'm just
Yeah.
allowing it to, happen in due course.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk to us a little bit more about this sort of like change into corporate. Like I know the feeling, like, so I come from corporate, and even though you were a nonprofit, it was
Yep.
more corporate, it was
Yeah.
business environment, right? So you come from it, you do your own thing for a while, and like you said, you experience this freedom like you've never known. You
Mhm.
think that that's exactly what you want and you work for, but then as you start to go along a little bit, you realize some of the comforts that the stability of that paycheck provides, right? And I'm saying all of this because I'm in the exact same situation. I am working a 9 to 5 now, where I haven't worked a 9 to 5 in a long time. And that
Yes.
transition, even the acronyms that the
Oh, don't get me
TLDR, and
started.
I'm like, oh my God, what are we talking about? Hold on, where's
Oh
my
my
glossary?
god.
Like,
Oh my gosh,
what's
I'm in
going
the
on here?
same
So
boat.
what was that like for you?
Oh my gosh, I'm still dealing with it right now. Like I've only been at my job for a few months, so I feel like I'm learning a new acronym every single day, honestly. It's been a major transition because like you said, I was at a non-for-profit, and I would say compared to what I'm doing now, it's night and day. So I
Mhm.
work for a major corporation now. I work for Kellogg's. So
Mhm.
it's a big business, a big
Yeah,
business.
and a storied brand.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, yes. So many different teams. I'm learning, and I actually studied for my master's while I was abroad in London. I studied marketing, but it's
Mhm.
nothing like actually applying it. You know what I mean? Like they didn't teach me all these acronyms when I was in school. Um, it's been difficult, and I have also always been a person that kind of like struggled with imposter syndrome. And it's like I know that I earned this spot. I know I was chosen for this role for a reason, and my manager has told me that, to my face. But there's still like times where I'm like, oh my gosh, am I not getting it fast enough? Are they tired of explaining things to me? Like, and I know that it's not true. Like, and I have to just keep reminding myself that because it's like you wouldn't be here if they didn't want to teach you. Because I've been completely transparent about my journey, about my career history, and I was
Yeah.
brought onto this team because I had a different perspective. And they said we could have chosen someone else who had this, big corporate background, but we want you because we think you can humanize our brands and our social in a way that we haven't been able to do before. So I'm like, okay, you know your value, Paige. You know what you bring, and just keep
Mm-hmm.
reminding yourself that. I even had like a teammate say to me, Paige, we know you don't know all the corporate stuff, and we're just gonna teach you. Like, don't even worry about it. Don't even worry
We'll
because
indoctrinate you.
you know what I mean? That's so like that's a small thing like compared to like the value that you're gonna be able to bring us. So like don't even worry
Mm-hmm.
about it. But it has been hard because obviously you want to be able to catch on really quickly. And I feel like there's still some tasks that take me longer than it would another person who has more experience just because I haven't done it before and it's brand new
Mm-hmm.
for me. So I'm just trying
Mm-hmm.
to continue to remind myself to show myself grace. That's
Yes.
something that I sometimes forget. I'm like, show yourself grace. It hasn't been that long. I've had, friends reach out to me. They're like, it might even take you a year. Like just be kind to yourself. Even if it takes longer than that, be kind to yourself because you're
Mm-hmm.
learning and it's gonna come over time.
Mm-hmm.
So yes. It's been a
Absolutely.
transition though. Everything you said, I said, oh my goodness, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know my coworkers, they have said to me, it's gonna take you 9 months. It's gonna take you 9 months to
Hmm.
feel acclimated with not only the business, but all the different elements, the
Yeah.
cross-functional
Yeah.
teams, the
Oh, cross.
jargon, the
Yeah.
everything. But I think the thing that is beautiful and the thing that I leaned into was that this is another way for me to stretch myself and push
Yes.
myself past what I thought was possible. And sometimes when we work for ourselves, we can be in this silo so much that you don't really realize what it looks like to have a counterpart or a teammate who may be a little smarter than you and
Teach
bring
you some
something else to the
things.
table.
Yes.
Yes, and pull something out of you, right?
Oh my goodness, that's so true. I think I actually missed working with the team and missed having a manager. Like it's something about that, like especially when you have a really good manager, like they're almost like a
Mm.
mentor as well, and I feel like I've learned so much already over these last few months from people just being open and willing to teach me. They know that this is new for me and I'm just like, yes, just give me all the knowledge, give me all the knowledge. And I agree. Like when I was working for myself as a content creator, like I was finding, things online. There's people who are teaching things about social media and stuff on TikTok and YouTube, but it's like it's nothing like working with a team and having someone to like bounce ideas off of and to challenge you. Like, oh my, the way I have
Yeah.
been pushed and challenged in this role so far, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, can you just
Yeah.
let it go? Just let me go with it. But no, they want to make sure that you are putting your best into it. Is this the best work that you can produce? And obviously when I was working for myself, I tried to always do my best work. But if I was tired or if that's all I wanted to do, like that's just nobody was gonna fire me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is another level of just like growth I definitely see happening because I'm being pushed and challenged in a way that I hadn't been in a while. And I think I needed this, honestly,
Hmm.
to grow, go to the next level. Yeah.
Same thing. I have the same sentiment. Like I felt like it was something that I needed, even though I didn't know that I needed it.
Yes.
But I think that one of the things that people in our positions who have worked for themselves can lean into is the ability to structure things the way that makes sense for you.
Yes.
Because I still have my own business, and because my employer knows about the work that I was doing before, which was a part of the reason why they hired me,
Yeah.
right? They don't frown upon the work that I still do in conjunction to the work that I do and deliver for them. And so I think that's a beautiful thing. What are your thoughts about
Oh my
that?
goodness. No, that's such a great point. I actually included my YouTube channel and my Instagram on my resume. My manager
Mm,
watched some of my videos, you know what I mean? So they are 100% aware of what I do. Like we actually did a team cooking class and the chef ended up being a subscriber and in front of all of my coworkers, my manager said, Paige, I love you so much. I watch all your videos. And people were like, oh, she actually did do this. Okay. She really was online. So yeah, I think they really do embrace it because they've
Mhm.
seen one of my things when people say like, what are some qualities about yourself, or like what words would you use to describe yourself? I always say that I am a storyteller and a community builder. And I think
Mhm.
I was able to show that through what I did online, building my YouTube community, building my online community. And that's something that I want to be able to bring, into my role here by building a community for their brands and humanizing the brands and making them feel more warm and not so sterile on social media. Another point that I wanted to say, I think being self-employed, that was like the best experience that I could have had because it also allowed me to really experience having that freedom, right? And having that balance that I didn't
Mhm.
feel like I had before. So now I feel like in my role, I'm able to speak up for myself and push back when I need to and say, I'm at capacity right now. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I don't know if I would have had, I don't know, the guts, I guess, to say that before experiencing working for myself. And I'm just like, I know what life is like when I'm not feeling like super, stretched. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want to completely let go of that. So I'm going to speak up for myself and say, like, okay, I'm willing to do as much work as I need to, but like, this is as far as like we can take it for
Mhm.
this week, or I need more support when it comes to this project, or things like that. I feel like it gave me the confidence to speak up for myself because I know that life is also as important as work to me now,
Yes.
and I was able to experience that. So I'm never letting that go. Work and work life
Mhm.
balance and my joy are still going to be priorities in my life. So with
Mhm.
this job,
Mhm.
so yeah.
Good for you. Good
Yeah.
for you. I love that for you, sis. I
Yeah.
love that. We have to lean into these things and recognize what feeds our spirit and what feeds our energy because you can't walk around and be depleted
Hmm.
and think that you're going to achieve things and get things done. Not going to
I
work.
want to give my
Yeah.
best self, so, and I know exactly like what I need to give my best. So you have to be able to
Hmm.
communicate that.
Do you and your friends talk about money?
Oh my goodness. With some of my friends, we actually do, and we have more now, especially since I went into corporate. I think it's important to, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people, like, I remember like years ago, it'd be a bit more taboo, like, oh, nobody needs to know how much money I'm making and things like that. But especially
Yeah.
with friends who are in the same industry, like, let's have these conversations so I
Mhm.
know what I should be asking for. You know what I mean?
Right.
When I first
Mhm.
started this process again of applying for jobs, I had no idea what I should be asking. Because
Oh
when I
yeah.
worked at my non-for-profit job, I was barely making anything. I'm like, anything more than that would be nice. Like I know that's not gonna work for me anymore, but I was still very like, like I don't know how much I should be asking for. I haven't been in this type of role in so long. And I was having these conversations with my friends and they're like, you don't ask for anything less than this, or like they were very
Mhm.
much like open with me. And I appreciate that so much just because I didn't really
Is
know.
there anything that you are finding yourself extremely opinionated about these days?
Honestly, it might be just kind of going back to what I was discussing on TikTok. Like, it's okay to return to a 9 to 5 job after being self-employed. And I think the reason I really wanted to make that video is because I feel like a lot of people weren't talking about it. It's
Mhm.
always the opposite, like how to leave your 9 to 5 and become self-employed. And it's like,
Yeah.
let's talk about the opposite, when you feel
Mhm.
like it's time to go back and how there's nothing wrong with that. And, sometimes you need different things in your life at different times. Like I'm
Mhm.
doing what's best for me at this very moment. And what's best for me is being at a corporate job with a consistent paycheck and,
Yeah.
learning as much as I can. I think a
Mhm.
lot of people, I don't know, they think you should have it all figured out by a certain age, and I'm here to say, like,
Right.
I'm not even close. I'm still figuring it out, and I probably always will be figuring it out, honestly,
Yeah.
because things change all the time, and the things you want for yourself are allowed to change as well. And I think my experience in London, it was amazing for me. I moved there at 26 and I stayed there until 31, and it's like it fulfilled what I needed at that time, and now this next chapter of my life is giving me what I need right now.
Yes, I love that page. On that note, we can close it out there because that's a good thing to scream from the rooftops. It does
Mhm,
not matter. It's all
mhm.
about you and what you feel on the inside.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for sharing your story. Much appreciation for you being so transparent on your journey and just speaking up for the things that you feel are right for yourself. And by way of doing that, you're impacting others. So we appreciate you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And as always, you all, if you enjoy this episode, make sure you share it with somebody else, a friend, somebody who needs it. It could even be a stranger that you just started talking to. It doesn't matter. But share it and be well. Take care.